We've been talking about the show Severance in our little text thread, and just as a head count, I think the only person who hasn't seen is Eric, and we're not going to give any away like spoilers or anything.
There might be spoilers. We're drinking.
No, I first of all, I have watched it, and I wasted my time by watching season 1 of this show. That
You watched the whole season?
I think so.
Wait, I thought you said you watched the first 10 minutes and turned it off.
You watched 1 or 2 episodes.
I think I watched the whole thing, and the whole time I was like, "You gonna do something this one? No? Okay, next."
I thought it was fascinating.
Another hour?
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Still nothing?
I think that's the idea.
This is the idea of a good show?
I mean, yeah, it's just like cliffhangers and
This is the
open
idea of a
loops.
terrible show.
Open
Okay.
loops.
Building characters is like a very underrated element of a show for some people. I feel like some people I like turn something on and be like,
And there was
where's the
There was
explosion?
a big. I'm halfway through season 1, and there was a huge reveal.
yeah, it doesn't take like that
With
long.
Miss-
What, the girl next door was like the...
Well, let's just.
No, you got to say what it is.
Well, we have to, but if you don't want spoilers,
Can we set up?
skip
Can we
this
just set
whole
up the
section.
premise of the show for people?
Well,
who
this whole
haven't
thing is
seen
going
it?
to be spoilers, so just letting
No,
people know.
because we're going to
We don't
talk
have
about
to
the
spoil it a lot.
concept, the
like,
questions it poses.
The show at the plot of the show at a high level is that like this company has basically created this like surgical procedure where you can go in and basically have yourself like divided such that you go into work and then like a whole new set of memories takes place, and then you divide yourself between your work self and your out of work
You
self.
sever.
They
your
call
brain.
you, yeah.
They put a chip in
you're
your brain.
severed, right? And you have like your outie, who's the outside of work person, and the innie, who's like an inside of work person.
and they
Like,
don't know about each other.
They're 2 separate consciousnesses.
You just literally go into work, you step in the elevator, and when the elevator door closes, your
So
outie.
your work self, your innie never sleeps.
Yeah.
according to you.
So your outie goes into work, the elevator closes, the door opens, and you just leave. And so you work the whole day, and you have no recollection of it. And your innie is on the inside working, and the innie just gets out of the elevator, works, goes back into the elevator door immediately opens back up, and immediately goes back to work.
Dude,
So
it's super trippy and fascinating. And the thing that blew me away was that Ben Stiller is the creator of it. Like I did not know he was capable of it. It's
like
a very good show, in my opinion. Like
So the
far,
premise is fantastic. The storytelling is the part that I have a problem with. It reminded me of like a 6-year-old girl who's coming up to me being like, "Dad, guess what happened to the playground?" Well, first of all, Rachel, you got to know, Rachel is such a bitch. And then this, and I'm like, so what happened? And that's what the show is to me. It's
All right,
like,
well, let me ask you this. If there was a procedure that let you kind of like separate, unpleasant parts of your life, like whether it's work or let's say you had trauma in the past or some kind of pain, and you want to just like completely remove it, even if it turns into a separate consciousness that you don't know about, I guess, would you do it?
in a heartbeat.
You would.
Yeah.
You would eliminate the trauma.
Like, and like my life wouldn't look like it does now. I would have like the innie and outie like many moons ago. And who knows what would happen to my innie and my outie or
Wait,
whatever.
you're totally down for this procedure.
Yeah.
What?
wow. I mean, I'm glad you said that because now we have something to talk about.
Absolutely.
You couldn't pay me enough money to do this. I would never ever do this.
he already leaves a trauma-free life. You don't need to do it.
Would this be his?
This would be your trauma.
Oh my God.
Wait, why wouldn't you do this?
Because
Oh
you're
my
giving
God.
birth to
It's crazy.
like another life form in a way, right?
that you know nothing about.
And all it knows is that trauma or that thing you're separating from, whether it's work, a car accident, like...
So hold on, like let me get a little more clarity on the situation. Like I'm presuming that the one choosing to sever, gets to choose to not do the shitty version.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Like don't make me do the shitty one only.
Yeah, when you sever, you only go to work.
Yeah. See ya.
I mean, that's the pitch, right? Like somebody comes up to you and they're like,
get to
"Hey,
forget
so
everything."
we have this job. We're going to pay you $200K a year, right? But also like you never have to remember working. Like your entire life can be
You don't even
not
need
working.
money.
Well, like
you
we're
just
focused-
split
like,
off your consciousness.
We're focused on working. Like I don't even work a 9 to 5 and I actually love my job. So that's not even the part that I want
Well,
to
imagine
sever.
that you don't. Imagine that your life isn't as blessed. Imagine your life
Yeah.
is kind of mediocre. You have like a good life, and you're still like, Yeah, so like this guy can like go to the gym
Well,
for
hold
me
on,
and
that's
stuff.
a reverse.
That's
a
what I'm
reverse-
talking about. Like the dishes. Yeah, fuck you. Go.
Hold on, that's a reverse sever. These people only know their, you know,
But the show, and this is like a semi spoiler, I guess. The show like starts hinting that people start doing this procedure for other not work stuff. Like people are like taking other parts of life
yeah.
that like people don't want to go through, and they're like using the procedure for
Hold
that
on, but that's what I'm talking
as well.
about.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
But you don't think it's like weird to basically like create a version of you that is just condemned to forever do all the miserable stuff that
So,
you don't want to do?
I mean,
There's
like,
no way out.
if you erase your suffering, are you erasing your idea, your identity?
No, first of all, I don't think work is suffering, and also
Forget the work, just like whatever. You're obviously gonna
But, like,
separate
but-
suffering parts.
whatever. Audi, the guy who's not in work, also has suffering, right? Like there's moments of life you go about life and you like also feel suffering. You just don't have to do.
That's true. The main
menial
character has
tasks.
like a key element of his like life that is he very much suffers
like
from.
I would imagine that like most people's like most intense suffering isn't like on the workplace, like at the workplace. You actually like suffer most.
Well,
of it.
okay, but the thing about the work is that it's this like scheduled suffering for a lot of people. It's like this huge chunk of their life that they have to devote to doing something that's often like menial or unrewarding that they just have to do. And I think that's why the show centers
It's
around
2/3
that.
of people's waking lives.
Yeah.
almost.
So the pitch to somebody that like you could eliminate that part of your life and you're just gonna have this money coming in because there's just gonna be this whole part of you that you don't remember just like earning the money and bringing home the bacon while you never have to deal with any of it. And you
Yeah.
get to like upgrade your lifestyle and live this great life.
I think there's like a part of you that just becomes like a human Labrador, right? Like where like you don't really experience suffering. You're just like the happy dog all the time, and like I don't know if that's ideal. Like,
But like
if you delete the pain, do you delete your resilience?
But your reason for not wanting to do it is morally based on this idea that you don't want to create this being that just goes to work.
No, I think it's actually just optimal to have the pain, right?
But is that your answer too?
I mean, I think that's an interesting question. That I think that's one of the questions the show wrestles with, which is that like if you
why aren't you integrating?
do this, like are you literally like creating another conscious human being in a way, right? Because the other paradox is of the show is that like these people they're working and they're like suffering and they're like I don't want to do this anymore. This sucks. But they're like, well, if you don't do this anymore, this version of you and everything you know, it ceases to exist. And so like you die in a particular way, like,
Right. Like for example, just really quickly, they show people who retire, and it's kind of like their death because once that version is gone, they're essentially dead. You know.
Yeah. So it's like super interesting because you give life to somebody in a way. They have this like cursed existence, but also that is their existence. And to end that is to also end their existence. But then it's like, who are you? Like, are you simply just your memories? Like, if I just take your memories and I segment them, like I just like this part of you, you can't access that. Like, are you now two people? Like, are you two conscious beings now? And is that the dividing line of consciousness? Is like the ability to have memories? Like, is that what makes you who you are? And if not, like, what does make you who you are?
I mean, aren't you turning into an NPC at that point by like definition? Like you're in some parts of your life, you're no longer like the main character. You're just like you get rebooted every morning and you're just kind of going along with the flow without really fully participating, fully integrating into.
But you kind of still are. You're not totally like NPC. Like you still like have a framework with which to like make your own decisions and stuff within this kind of closed
Yeah,
environment.
the NPC doesn't have the individual consciousness. This
He's just
severed
programmed to do
version
things.
does. I mean, look at how many questions have been brought up just in 5 minutes. The show is fascinating. It asks deep questions.
the premise is fascinating.
The premise is fascinating. I know you don't like the development, but I actually think the development is accurate because they're literally just showing you the unfolding of the mystery and the development of someone that does go through the severing process, starts to ask questions about their outie or about their innie and starts to wonder and isn't ultimately at peace with the division that they electively, voluntarily took on. And so what might appear like a great solution on the surface for these characters ends up becoming something they tangle with a lot. And they start to ask themselves, was this the right decision? And what is my innie doing or my outie doing? And should I integrate my full self and my pain? Was it worthwhile to forget? There's constantly these like sub characters throughout the plot of the story, like saying really, straight to the point, like good deep questions about like, is that worthwhile? And what are you really running from? And how does the lack of integrating that make you any better or make you any more whole or calm or safe of a person? And those are good questions that everyone grapples with.
Yeah, and it's interesting because each of the characters in the show seems to do the procedure for like different reasons. Like some, I think, do it out of like selfish reasons. Some seem to do it for reasons of like, I have to do this for the survival of my normal family, right? And then others are doing it for like some kind of nebulous, like career-oriented reasons.
Yeah.
Like so, it explores all the different reasons to do that. But at like a higher level, like you said, I think it's very Black Mirror-y, obviously. And one of the reasons like Black Mirror like hits so hard is because like you realize like how close it is and how like everything in the show is like definitely going to happen at some point.
Yeah, it's very Black Mirror, but it's also very there is a fantasy element to the whole thing. So like to me, it's like if you like shows or movies like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, The Good Place, which is like a lighthearted version, Black Mirror, even things like Vanilla Sky, like it has elements of all of those movies in a way.
Yeah,
It's
Definitely.
really thought provoking.
I was trying to think of what do we do now that is like analogous to this procedure. Obviously, we don't have the procedure, but like, is drinking your sorrows away like an equivalent of this, or is like just scrolling social media to like zone out? Is that the equivalent, or are there other ones?
Yeah, drugs,
Drugs,
prescription drugs, hard drugs, for sure. Anything where you're just like numbing and separating and disconnecting.
yes, it's like technology is just facilitating something that people have already been doing for like a long time. But
I think
like
a lot
sort
of people
taking it
would-
to like an extreme.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would undergo something like this.
I don't know who said it, but like I like the idea of like you walk into the gym for a really hard workout and then you just come out again. You're like, well, I don't remember that, but I feel great.
I mean, that sounds super appealing, right? So you pitch that and you're like, what if you had this version of you that just works out all the time? And you're just like, wow, I'm just getting so jacked, right? But somewhere there's like an Eric that all he does is just walk into a gym and just pump iron, and he walks out, but then walks directly back into the gym.
He's
and
your
then, like,
workout
pumps
slave.
iron.
Yeah.
But then you start taking this to you do it for the work initially, and people are like, work sucks, whatever, which is maybe the worst one because that's like a shitty existence. But working out, you're like, oh, whatever. Like Eric could have like a severed tennis cell. All he does is play tennis and get good at tennis.
Yeah, and that like would be a fine existence for me. And I think there's like a cohort in our Discord who would love spending more time in the gym. That's fine.
But wouldn't that be like a cursed like you like imagine all you do is you just walk onto a tennis court and hit balls.
Well, yeah, I mean,
But that's all you know. You're
all
just
you
like,
know.
so
But
it's not,
yeah, it
maybe it's
also
not that
is all you
bad.
know.
It's just the whole universe of your being. And you're like, well, this is the confines of my universe. There are rackets and balls and a court. And there's other people that I hit it with. Like in the show, like they're going through different departments on this floor that are also severed. And they're like, they walk into a room like, this is the most amount of people I've ever seen in my life. Because to them, they've only been around for 2 years. So similarly, yourself that walks in the gym, your gym slave.
Yeah.
All it knows is the gym. It's just like, cool, this is life.
Yeah, it's the other thing the show does well is because it has this one character who like just revels in like what from the outside looks like the most horrific, like menial, like dumb shit. But like to him, it's his whole existence. Like there's just like the company handbook, right?
Yeah.
And he just treats it
love
like
that character.
it's like the Bible to him.
I love
because
it.
it's like
Is.
for him, it's like all he knows. And then they end up turning it into this like almost like godlike religious relationship. And then you kind of go back to that question. It's like, okay, so to us, this existence from our perspective is horrific. But then if
when
all that
that's all
person
you
knows
know.
is like going to the gym, like, is it bad?
The trainer is God.
Is it bad then?
Yeah, and on that note, the character selection, dude, Milchek,
Oh, that's
amazing.
such a good character.
The
actor,
casting.
the actor is so good.
The casting is what's the character's name? That Irving, amazing.
Yeah.
Like perfect selection. Adam Scott, wow, didn't know he was capable of that. Main character in the show, and then Miss Casey, shout out to Miss Casey. And then who's the Christopher Walken? Oh my God, he crushes. I love him in the show.
I mean, part of the tension of the show is me sitting there being like, "Oh my God, do I have to watch Christopher Walken make out with a dude?" It created a lot of tension for me. I was like just mentally preparing myself for it the whole time.
Yeah, I know.
It's like watching the car like
I
almost
know.
like crash into the pole, and it just resets the GIF. Over
And then
over again.
the main girl's great too. They're all great. I think the cat. So, question for you guys: I didn't know anything about this show until Steven texted about it the other day. And I'm like, okay. Then Nick responds like, "Yeah, oh my God, all mystery." And then Eric responds like, "Nah, it didn't hook me." And then I was like, okay, that's a good mix. I'm gonna watch episode 1. So I watch episode 1. I get hooked. I end up watching 5 episodes in one night.
You sacrifice so much
Oh my
sleep.
God. I already don't sleep. And then I sacrificed a whole night of sleep for this. I did it again the other night, got 2 more episodes in. So, question for you: is season 2 good? Like, you don't
so
know
far,
spoilers,
it's
but
really good. Yeah.
okay, because I heard mixed things about season 2.
I'm not there.
I mean, I've only watched 3 episodes of it,
Okay.
but
But is it
into
all
it.
available or is it like dripping?
I think there's one more episode left actually that's coming out
Oh, wow.
Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. So I feel like I've timed it very well.
Yeah. But it is going to be what Eric is saying you hate. They're probably going to do like 8 seasons of this where they don't ever answer the question of what
Like
happened at the
this
park.
is such a good premise.
That is a risk of this show.
Like
that it's
this
like
premise
lost part
is
2.
very good. It should be a Black Mirror episode. It should be an hour long.
No, you can't fully explore it if it's an hour.
Yeah, I can. We just did.
I know we don't. I know Steven's been called the disagreeable one, but Eric, you can play that role very well.
Well, I'm just not in your echo chamber. I refuse to just like agree to everything you say. Like this show's so good. It's
This
fucking
is just
sucks.
Eric's like dopamine detox wrapped
Yeah.
up into like a
No,
TV
The
show.
dopamine
He's
detox.
just
I
like-
could go on for hours.
He's just like,
this was so stupid.
why am I not getting immediate gratification out of this? This is stupid.
Oh,
Ergo, I
so
move on to
wrong.
the next thing.
So if you want to bring up the dopamine detox,
No,
let's
don't.
get back into
No,
it.
no.
This is so bad. Like I need to actually get this off my chest. The dopamine detox was
not
perfect for
over
me because what I learned was I shouldn't listen to anybody else about my own life. I live in my own skin. I know exactly who I am. I know what my problems are. And I'm listening to you guys talk about your problems and applying to my life. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? This is so stupid. And then like I sat with it for 14 more days.
I feel like we're like 2 months away from Eric revealing that he just like does like heroin like 3 times a day. He's like, yeah, it just feels good. Whatever. Wait, I don't get addicted.
It's
Who cares?
balanced.
It feels
What
good.
is going on here? Just because I don't agree that I have your same problems, I'm like a heroin addict. I don't understand.
I actually like what you just said a lot.
Yeah, I'm
That was-
probably gonna do heroin.
That was
No, I was like you're a heroin addict, but like you seem to not like adhere to sort of like the premise of the dopamine detox, right? Is that there's this like pathway in your
you
brain
too, man, right
that
now.
is like this like reward seeking mechanism, right? And if that gets like kind of like overused to an extent, then all you do is go into reward seeking behavior, and then it just kind of ruins like a lot of stuff in your life, right? Because there's a built-in desire to like have the reward be like not immediately there and intermittent, like random. Otherwise, the thing goes haywire, and you just become like the rat that pushes the cocaine button all the time. And then this is like what drives people over the edge and of addiction and all the other stuff, right?
I'm deeply sighing like Michael Saylor right now.
I love when he does that.
Sigh montage. But like it's like the same thing with TV shows, and I don't know, maybe there's a lot of people who feel like you do about TV shows, right? This is
About
like
TV shows, like broadly. I love TV shows.
in
Good
that some people are willing to like sit through shows that do this like long drawn out character development,
So
setting
I.
the
I
mood,
watched Game of
learning
Thrones,
about
did that.
stuff, right? But other people are just like episode 1, nah, it didn't do it for me.
No, I
and then
thought you were
move
going
on.
to say this actually about my response to the show, and I actually just don't think it was good show writing. It's actually bad writing for a good premise, and like I actually think that I was like, as I was
love
watching
the
this, like
writing.
I actually was like putting you in the mid curve. I'm like, man, there must be some
the
retards
show
that are
is-
willing to
it's
watch this
good, it's
with no
good writing.
progress whatsoever. They're just like,
I think
okay,
the show
more,
progresses
more.
pretty quickly, actually. Do you think this is a slow moving show? Like, I don't think it's slow moving. I think it progresses like quite fast and consistently.
I understand
Right?
the gripe, but
It
I think
moves.
it moves enough for me.
It
Yeah.
moves, right?
Yeah.
It strikes a good
I
balance.
read some reviews of people being like it moves a little too slow.
like it's a mystery
want
show,
more.
right? It's like a mystery, and you're trying to solve the mystery, but you get no pieces to the puzzle to like solve anything or move forward. It's like
you do.
no.
Okay, do you watch White Lotus? Are you watching the current season of White Lotus?
Yes, this is a better
This
version of the same thing.
White Lotus is way slower this season.
No, it's way better in
But it's
storytelling.
slow.
No,
Slower.
it's so slow.
It's so slow.
It is very slow, but it does a
Which I
better
still
job.
like.
It does a better job of progressing.
No, it doesn't. Literally nothing happened
Can
in
you
White Lotus until last
explain what
episode.
it is that White Lotus does? That's
Okay, so
better?
in the current season, I don't want to give any spoilers, but in the current season of White Lotus, you have like these different cohorts. You get the three
Yeah.
middle-aged women. You get the Southern family. You get Belinda, the black woman from season 2. You get like different
Yeah.
characters that they're like moving. They're progressing all of those stories linearly forward, but like without revealing necessarily everything. But all of it is still moving forward. And like in the show,
Do you think it
Severance,
could
it,
just
like just
be-
wasn't moving.
An indication of like the reality that they're in.
Yeah, they should have done Severance in real time. Let's like watch it over 17 years, one day at a time.
Yeah, I mean, they're stuck though. Like,
I just feel like every episode
nowhere
like,
to
moves
go.
the plot along. I feel like
There's
they did a good
nowhere to
job.
go and there's nothing happening.
Oh my god.
It should
All
have
right.
been an hour.
So gonna have
We've severed our audience into people who have watched it and people who haven't watched it. So people who have watched it, I want to know if you would use the procedure.